Okay, we're live. We're live. Hello, everyone. How you doing? Welcome back to HDG UK in our second event. With me is Enzo. He's going to be hosting our speakers, and we're going to have a bunch of fun looking into some new CI/CD technologies and how to use them and leverage and learn a lot. So we're quite excited here. So I'll leave you with Enzo. He's going to be presenting the next speakers, so we can get started right away. So remember, don't forget that if you ask questions on the chat, you're gonna be able to have a chance to participate to getting one of these amazing t-shirts that we have for HDG. So they're pretty cool. So all you need to do is just ask questions and use the hashtag ask. And well, we'll be doing a giveaway winner at the end. So stick with us till the end, okay? Okay. Have fun then. I'm going to leave you with Yay. Okay, so next speakers. I'm going to go with Fernando now and Kevin. You guys are live.
Hi, everyone. How's it going?
Hi there, everyone. Good to be here.
Good to be here too, yeah. Here from London. Where are you, Kevin?
I'm in Eindhoven in the Netherlands. Slightly different.
That sounds nice.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty good. The weather isn't, but yeah, today anyway.
Here I know, so you know how London works. So it's UK weather, not the glorious one, but yeah, it's okay. Yeah, so thank you everyone for joining us today in the HDG UK. We come in to explain some stuff we've been developing the last few months in the Bitrise platform. So Kevin is going to introduce some of the stuff that Bitrise is doing at the moment and to give you a big overview about what they do. It's quite interesting, been working with their platform for over 2 years. And I decided to do something a bit more advanced with using some APIs on the Huawei side. So Kevin, you can start whenever you want.
Okay, well, I will look to share my screen. Just kick that off. So that should be sharing now. I assume that's visible.
Yes.
Good. Okay, well, first, I'll just give a brief overview of Bitrise, then I'll show it working. So I'm Kevin Toms. I'm a Bitrise developer advocate, and Bitrise aims to build better mobile applications faster. And the way it does that is Bitrise is a powerful and flexible CI/CD for mobile apps. But the good thing about it is starting up using it is very easy. Mobile development, as I said here, can be challenging. Frequent app updates requiring repeated testing. Multiple developers can trigger errors across each other's code. And deployment to the app stores can be time-consuming and dependent on specific individuals. Beyond the creation of the code of the app, there's not much that's automated by default. But Bitrise CI/CD brings in automation and reliability to the process. You can have your testing automated and in the cloud. And for example, each time a developer pushes an update, Bitrise will rebuild and run the tests in the cloud and report success or failure. Deployment can be automated as well, which we'll see later. Fernando will be talking about that. And Bitrise also expands on that by integrating with your existing systems. Its mobile-first features are a great help for building, testing, and deployment. And one of its benefits is it covers a wide range of mobile stacks: Swift, Objective-C, Cordova, React Native, Flutter, Kotlin. Everything really that you need is covered. You can have your code on a wide range of public and private repositories, which integrate with Bitrise. And triggers, various triggers can kick off the process of building, pull requests or at particular times or with your own webhooks. And the other nice thing is there's no hardware required. There's no need to set up a build server and configure and do all that yourself. Bitrise has done that for you in the cloud, and you can just focus on what you're doing. The other nice thing about Bitrise is that it's built up a range of over 300 ready-made steps. Steps are the components of the workflows that run in Bitrise. And the wide range of steps covers a lot of different integrations and functionalities that you'll find useful. So once you've got your Bitrise up and running, you'll start to expand out and say, hey, this is useful. I can do these extra things very easily. So how easy is Bitrise to set up and use? Well, I'm going to show you now. So I've got my own Bitrise account set up here, and I'm going to add an app and do a build straight from scratch. So the first thing you need to do is go to add an app, obviously. So I'm going to add it on the web UI, which is very convenient and easy to use. So now Bitrise has selected my account, and I can set the privacy of my app, which I will set to private. You can also work with public apps, for example, open source. I'll next on that. Here's some of the integrations, but in this case, I'll use a GitHub account I've got, and the app I will use is this Android app here. Now, one of the things you'll need to do is you need to access the code on your cloud-based repository, and for that, for security, you need an SSH key, and Bitrise will auto set that up for you. So with that set up, I've got access to my repository. I now need to choose a branch, and I'll choose the main branch. It's just a simple demo app, but it gives you an idea. And Bitrise is now interrogating, looking into the repository to try and work out what kind of app it is. As I said, a range of different technologies and coding languages are supported, but Bitrise automatically will work out what is needed, and it's running a project scanner, which can take a few minutes, as it says here. Hopefully this won't take too long this time. It might take some time. No, it's actually pretty quick. So straight away, it's worked out that it's an Android app, which is correct. And it's configured for building the Android app. At this point, you can specify the module. So we'll just take the default, and we won't choose a variant. We'll just default again. So we've now completed our build configuration. We just confirm that. Bitrise is now saving that configuration. Having done that, it's got a selected stack. It's going to build on an Ubuntu 16.04 Docker Android. It's also conveniently provided a couple of icons we can use, or we can choose our own. But in this case, I'll just take the default one that's offered here. The next thing we need to do is add a webhook. The webhook is the trigger that Bitrise uses to start the build. And in this case, it's defaulting to using a webhook for a push of the code to our repository. So every time the code we push to our repository, the webhook will activate and kick off Bitrise. So now we've actually kicked off with that simple configuration. We've got a build running, and we can go and look at the build. So the build is running away there, and you can see that Bitrise is already reporting activities in the build. We can go to that build and look at it a bit further and look at the kind of heart of Bitrise, which is the workflow. So what is running in Bitrise is this workflow, this series of steps. And the steps take different actions. We're on the primary workflow here. As I say, the build is running in the background, but we're just looking at what it's actually running now. So the fairly straightforward series of steps on this default build, which was all generated for us by Bitrise. We didn't have to set this up at all. First thing it does is it activates the SSH key so that it can go to do a git clone on the repository. So that's got our code. Then we've got a Bitrise cache pool. What this does is it works with a push to the cache, which you'll see at the end of the workflow. But basically, it's caching repeated information so that it is not, it doesn't have to build it every time. For example, dependencies. Your private information isn't cached. And then there's a do anything with a script step, which actually a lot of people leave in, but they don't need to. It's a demonstration step to show that you can create your own script to create your own activities on the Bitrise build. In this case, it just is a hello world script, but it can be anything you want it to be. Then it stores the missing components. So it installs some components you're going to need for your build. And it runs an Android lint. And then it runs your tests. And finally, it does a deploy to Bitrise IO, which in this case, because we're only testing, is what it will deploy is the test reports. And finally, a Bitrise IO push. We've also got other things here like code signing, when you're going to do a deploy. I'll show you that there is a deploy build. So we get the primary workflow by default, which is just a build and test. It's effectively very useful in itself for continuous integration. But when you get to it, you can also do deployment. And Fernando will be talking about aspects of this later. But it adds in more steps to the workflow, for example, to do the build and sign. As I said, that's the code. What code signing is used for. There are secrets. Environment variables are how Bitrise transfers information from one step to another. And triggers, we chose to use push, but also we can have the builds triggered on a pull request or a tag. And another thing to note is that the YAML is provided as well, which is the code underneath that runs the Bitrise activities. So we go back to the app itself. We can still see it's still running at the moment. And it gives us the opportunity to look at other things. For example, integrations. These are the steps that Bitrise uses to build its workflows out of. And there are over 300. And they cover a lot of different things. So I won't obviously go through 300 of them, but I can give you an idea what they cover. So it's grouped here into categories: access control, which is different ways of getting access to things, artifacts, information about the artifacts that are created, build, obviously build activities there, different types, covers a lot of different languages, code signing, dependencies, managing dependencies, various types, deployment to various platforms, installer steps as well. And perhaps one that you'll very likely want to use is notification. So you can send notifications. You don't have to rely on looking on the Bitrise. Actually, when it does the build, will send an email to you, giving you the result of the build. But you may want to send a Discord message. You may want to set the color of your LifeX light to say what your build is. As Jira comments, Slack messages, even sending Telegram messages. All these could be used to notify you and others what is happening with the builds. Various types of testing and code analysis is also present. And a bunch of utility tools as well, or steps, I should say, covering a range of different things. And I'm just looking for one, which I think is here. There's a quite useful one that some people may use. Create an install page QR code. Let's go back to where we were. So we now got a green build there. That build is completed. The Android app private one. I can click on that. And you can see what has happened in the build. There's a summary at the end. You can get the full log, but there is a summary at the end of the steps that I showed you. They're all shown here as a summary. You can get the full log just by tapping there. We have a couple of other integrations as well, or add-ons, I should say, that are useful. Trace is very easily, where you can very easily add, they're all free, and you very easily can add monitoring and crash reporting into your app. Ship, well, that's is to ship to various platforms. Or here we're looking at the Huawei solution, which is what Fernando's going to talk about. And test reports, perhaps more worthwhile at this point to look at. This actually integrates all the test reports from your build. You have a range of test reports. This is all pretty simple because obviously I was just using a fairly simple test app, but you can look at what's going on in the various tests, and you can bring the test together on this is actually a web page where they will actually be. And I think that completes my overall demo. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you for the whole explanation. It was really, really easy to understand. And it's a good thing also for me to refresh some of the features you have already on Bitrise. So thank you so much. As Kevin introduced me, I'm gonna share my screen now. I'm gonna give some more details about how to deploy, in this case, to AppGallery Connect. Give me just a sec. It should be this entire screen. Let me know if you can see my screen now.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. So thank you everyone for joining today. I'm gonna just review the points we're gonna see today in the agenda. So I'm gonna start with the bio about myself. I'm gonna show just a little flow that you are gonna identify every element in continuous integration deployment flow. We will see how the partnership was created, why this partnership was created, why I got the idea. Later, what the blue buds means. Some of the online tutorials already available, the YML file that Kevin has introduced already. I will give just quick live demo, and we will finish with the Q&A. So, well, this is myself, Fernando Prieto Moyano. I'm a developer advocate working at Huawei for nearly a year. I joined after working in the Android spectrum for since 2013, which is quite a lot of time. So I got a big picture of how this thing works. I started working in Spain, exactly in Madrid. At the same time, I was working for a startup in San Francisco with the idea of moving to San Francisco, but we were competing against Instagram, so we couldn't succeed. So by that time, I was already in London, working in a digital agency. Most recently, as I mentioned, I'm working in Huawei, creating these relationships with big companies at Bitrise, and trying to spread some knowledge with our developers around the world, and trying to keep developing stuff. So I'm a Kotlin lover, obviously, and you can find me there on GitHub in Prieto, quite handy. And as I mentioned before, this is the basic continuous integration or deployment flow, where we usually have a repo. This repo is usually linked to so GitHub or GitLab or anyone. We could even have a private one. So usually what we have to give a bit more control over the whole process of all of the pushes we do on our main branch in production. We usually have some system, some CI/CD in this case. Obviously, we're gonna link this with Bitrise, which is a really cool platform. From my experience, I mentioned before, I've been working using Bitrise in production in so many projects for over 2 years, exactly for over 3 years, I was now remembering. And it's quite easy to find examples. It's really handy to set up the whole thing in some minutes. So that's why it's the one I've been choosing from the beginning when I was joining Huawei, and to try to find some of the new opportunities. So obviously, our CI/CD, we can link some of the tests and automate this process, so we can find the way to control our new code that is going to be merged in production. And at some point, we can link Slack, for example, is one of the things that Kevin also mentioned. We can link Slack or Telegram or anything. And at some point, if we decide to deploy our build to somewhere, in this case it's going to be AppGallery Connect, we need to make some configuration. What I found is that we needed to create this step in Bitrise because there wasn't anything before, so I found the way to do it, and that's how the partnership started. So what I did is basically I dug into the details about how to create a step, because before what I was doing on Bitrise is just using scripts to automate some stuff or to access to some API or things like that. But I prefer to create something more robust. So, and in the future, maybe creating some tests and other stuff. So I decided to find the way we were using on Huawei to deploy in AppGallery. And I found we had some open APIs. So it was quite easy, just some curls with some variables to manage. So I just went for that. What happened was that in the beginning of December, I found there was someone in Poland. They worked on this step before. The step was a bit just weak because they didn't have all of the options, and the base code. The code base wasn't really advanced, so I tried to create a relation with them. They weren't keen to continue with the development, so I decided to do myself. It was a good opportunity to develop something in shell script, which is something quite new for me because I've never been working on shell script. I work with JavaScript and this stuff. So I gave it a try, and at the end of December, we have already something published on Bitrise, and it got verified in the beginning of January, which is good. And this is what happened. So we got the blue badge, which is a sign of trust. So for anyone looking at our Bitrise step on our AppGallery step on Bitrise, they can get that guarantee of security, maintainability, consistency, and high quality of what we do. Because in the end, what we do is we create a step, and we gave this quality of maintainability. We also ensure our users that we're gonna give this kind of support forever, because we try to keep working on more stuff, and we try to adapt, or even if we find any issue in our APIs, we try to solve it quickly. So we give this kind of support to our contributors and our users who use our stuff, because at the end they're using our server. So in this case, it's going to be myself. The whole repository is on my GitHub, so you can check. It's open source, so anyone can check the code, and even anyone can even contribute, creating pull requests, and I will be happy to review them and merge it into my branch if I feel it's good. These are some of the tutorials you can find online right now. So one is in Medium. Is the first one I created when I've created this different releases already. if I'm not wrong, I think I created over 3 or 4 with some bug fixings, some new features. So you can see in the first Medium post I created, you can see the most simple stuff. But anyways, with just that one, you can deploy your app. If you find this even more useful, you can find another 2 videos that I recorded myself. One is in the Bitrise YouTube channel. You can find one of the examples where you can deploy on AppGallery Connect by just so you can set up the whole project in some minutes, and you can deploy in the simple way, which means just deploying for straight away your project. And in the second one, the main difference is that you can deploy your project by setting a schedule to go for in production instead of deploying directly. And in the second one as well is in the Huawei developers channel on YouTube. So yeah, I suggest you to look at them because they are not too long. I try to make it quite fun, not boring. So yeah. And this is the YAML that Kevin introduced as well. So here's where we have the whole configuration for this deploy workflow. So in this case, if we look at the details, we can see we have the whole bunch of stuff that Kevin said in the beginning. So how the repository is cloned, with how you set up the cache to just agile next time you run your workflow. This is going to be improved, the timing, which is kind of crucial. And later we can find also some stuff about the signing APK, because in this case what we're going to do is we're going to sign our build using Gradle Runner. So the Gradle Runner is going to run the assemble release. It's going to create the APK, and later we're going to sign it. So for this signing step, we will see later that we need to set up some of the parameters. And later, what we're going to do, we are just going to deploy on AppGallery Connect using those 3 parameters. It is quite easy. I just chose the simple one, but later we can even choose the whole bunch of options we have available. So, but just identifying the client ID, client secret, and app ID, we just fill out this, and it's easy. We have it. So let's go for the live demo. Let me just quickly select this and this. Sorry, one sec. Okay, so let me see. Let's go to the workflow first. I'm gonna skip the first step where we set up our project with the scanner and everything, because Kevin show everything. So let's show that. Well, as you can see, I defined so many workflows here because I've been doing so many tests and other stuff. So we can select the deploy, and we can see the whole thing we had already in the YAML file that I was looking at some minutes ago. We have the same stuff I was saying. So if we see the Huawei Bitrise Step, we can see the parameters I was mentioning. So today we're going to look at just these 3 parameters, which are already set. So you can see this appears as a variable because they are already in the variables. And also you can find some of the stuff is already set up also in the secrets. And this is the thing I was mentioning. So in one of the posts on Medium, you could select the entire work or by phase. Phase is when you schedule your release on production. So you roll out your release with some schedule. And this is a parameter that AppGallery offers. So if you set to true, it's going to be sent directly to Huawei HQ to be reviewed. Otherwise, if you set as false, it's going to be just on your profile, but it's not going to be sent for review to Huawei. And if we select by face, we can roll out selecting the percentage. We can also add the description, and that's it. Here, I added an extra one to show logs, so we can have extra logs. Today, we are not going to show them. That is not necessary. And one thing I'm going to show is the triggers, because as Kevin mentioned as well, we can set the push pull request or tags. In this case today, I'm gonna set the tag. So whenever we tag with this structure, we're gonna get the workflow trigger. So that's exactly how we're gonna do today. So let's go to my GitHub. Exactly to the project I was already speaking about. This is the one I have linked. So if we create a new release, so we follow the pattern we were saying there. So let's say V103, and we add some title. If we say release or version, let's say version 103. We don't need to add any description. So we publish this release, which is pointing to master. We can see now on here, let me just refresh. We can see suddenly we have a, sorry, I refreshed twice. So we can see the workflow is already triggered. Okay. So this is gonna take some time, approximately, I think it's gonna take like 7 minutes usually. So let's go back to the presentation. So in the meantime, I would like you to invite you to check this QR so you can register your Huawei ID as developer. The same way you can find us on Reddit, on GitHub, and Stack Overflow, and this is the way you can access directly. So you don't need to navigate, you just click on our QRs. So it's pretty handy. As the build is already running and the workflow is doing its work, we can go to I think we can pass to the QA directly, to Q&A. So if everyone has got any question, I think this is the time to do it.
Hey, we don't have any questions yet, but I have a question for you. Okay. So in terms of the AppGallery, how does it work in terms of getting the different version? Because for when you publish it on the Play Store, you have like the version number, and you have to publish like a newest version number. So every time you have to increase that number, otherwise the build doesn't go through. And also there's an issue with having different version, different numbers, and also in different channels. How does it work with the AppGallery, and how does the Bitrise step works and make it work?
Yeah. So in case we select a version, so sorry, I just skipped something. So in my configuration, you can select also the version you want to publish. So the version is going to come from the build. In case the build comes with the same version you already have on production, the AppGallery is going to notify Bitrise that version is already uploaded. So you're going to find in the logs that is not available, because actually it's going to give you that description that is already published. So you will have to create a new build with a different number. So it's quite easy to identify these kind of issues.
Okay.
Sorry, to give you an idea, is exactly the same way that Google Play Store works. So there is no confusion there.
Okay. And are you planning to add the step maybe in the future for the actual auto increment of that the build number, which is very handy? because there's a step that's a builder. Bitrise can do it for you. It's really, really handy.
Yeah, definitely. That's a really interesting point. So as I mentioned, I've been doing some releases, exactly 3 or 4, and this is one of the points I would like to add in the future as well. I was going to mention there is another. I developed another step about the AppGallery Connect. This one is it's out of scope because today I didn't want to speak about that one. But it's interesting to mention that you can also get some of the reports of AppGallery from Bitrise. So in one of the workflows I've got on this project, actually, you can add your Bitrise reports step. And with this Bitrise reports, as soon as the whole deployment is done, you can identify from the previous. You can select the previous version reports, so you will get the amount of downloads, installs, everything you need. You will get later. You can add another extra step where you can download those reports. I've got a Medium post speaking about this. So if you access to my profile, you can find that post as well, and it's quite straightforward to find.
Nice. Yeah, it's always nice to have everything automated. So everything that's like remove the hassle of manage everything and automate everything is always nice for developers, especially because as developer we have to manage this stuff. But yeah, we are developers, so we're not DevOps, and the more we can automate this stuff, the better it is
definitely
for us. Yeah,
definitely. And it's such a good point. We can automate everything now, so it's good. Good to mention. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you so much. We don't have any questions, so thanks Fernando, thanks Kevin for being with us. Great talk. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. I was gonna show how it's deployed on AppGallery Connect,
sure.
but it's gonna take another 3-4 minutes. So I think it's people has to believe me.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Cheers.
Thank you.
So this was the first talk. Remember, if you enjoyed it, to subscribe to our channel, subscribe to Meetup, and of course, spread the word. If you're interested in topics, let us know. Every event, we have a different topic, and we want to explore different technologies and everything. So that is the goal of Huawei Developer Group, which is a network of communities of developers all over Europe. And we want to talk about technologies and learn something. Last month, we ran an event about machine learning. I knew nothing about machine learning, and learned a lot of cool stuff. This is more like my event, since I'm an Android developer, so it's more like things I can ask question and know something. So I'm more comfortable with us. But yeah, so let's move now to the second talk. And so, first of all, remember Q&A after the talk, of course. If you post a question with the hashtag ask, you have a chance to win this t-shirt, of course. So the next talk is from Gianluca and Franco. They will talk about their own open source project. I'm talking about Danger Kotlin. It's a very cool stuff, and yeah, they will show us what they've done so far. Over to you.
Cool. All right, let me share my screen. Okay. So yeah, let's start.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Franco Meloni, Senior iOS Developer at American Express.
And I'm Gianluca. I'm one of the Android developers in Compare the Market. We are glad to meet you all. We hope today we can show you something new. Here you can find our GitHub, our Twitter. During the free time, we love to be informed about technology, and we collaborate doing some open source, mainly with Danger System. And you can also find me on the Kotlin Lang Slack and the Android Studio Group Slack.
So let's crack on with the topic. First of all, what is this Danger tool we are going to talk about? Danger is a customizable tool that runs during your CI. So it basically has a new logical step in your PR CI process. So it automates all the checks that you usually do during your CI, so that the reviewer has actually more time to focus on the actual PR changes, because those usual checks you usually do are automated. Well, at the moment, it's using many famous projects, for example, SwiftLint, Moya, Reactive Swift, and Reactive Native. But it's available in a lot of different languages. You can use it in JavaScript, you can use it in Swift, Python, Rust, Ruby, and of course in Kotlin as well. And it has a lot of contributors, more than 300 contributors, and more than 7,000 stars on GitHub. One important thing to remember is that one of the main goals is to make the feedback loop as short as possible, so that the actual author gets a feedback as soon as possible. In order to do that, you can decide to run Danger more than once in your CI. So that, for example, the first time you actually make a check for all the things that you can check as soon as you push. For example, all the modified files, you can check the branch name, etc. And you can have another one later after your build to check everything that is build related. For example, if some test failed, if you had a compilation failure, if you didn't format the code, all those things, they can be checked at the end, and so that when the second one passes, you are sure that everything is fine. But if not, then the author knows it as soon as possible and can fix it even before the first reviewer arrives.
And let's go a little bit more in detail. So I like to call Danger Kotlin a Kotlin sandwich. And this is because all the communication between Danger and GitHub, GitLab, or Bitbucket is handled by Danger.js. So Danger.js is basically the first run and gives to Danger Kotlin a JSON descriptor. This JSON descriptor is going to contain all the informations regarding your pull request. And then we compile the script that contains our check and produce another descriptor with a lot of messages output from Danger that can be published on your pull request. So then Danger.js again is going to read the descriptor and then handle the communication again with publishing your comments in your pull request on GitHub, GitLab, or Bitbucket. So in this picture, Danger.js should be the bread. And we can see a detailed schema as well here. So when Danger Kotlin is invoked, this invoked Danger.js that is responsible to handle that communication I mentioned before. And then after that happened that we have other component, like the descriptor is going back to the Danger Kotlin executable, and then the Danger file is compiled. So the Danger file is a special Kotlin script, specifically designed for Danger. Danger Kotlin also use another of the modern technologies provided by JetBrains, that is the Kotlin native. Kotlin native is the technology that we use to build the Danger Kotlin executable. And then our descriptor is parsed by the Danger Kotlin library. So with the help of the plugins, we can process the data and then decide what to publish on the pull request. And one thing, the Danger Kotlin executable is available for Mac and Linux, but unfortunately right now is not available for Windows yet. And this is how the Danger file looks like. So the danger files are the places where you can write your own rules. This is the file that is compiled by danger. And as Franco mentioned before, you can have more than one danger file with different checks, like, for example, one that contains the check before the build and one that contains the check after your build. So you can see in the top, you can define your dependencies with annotation repository and depends on, and then your imports. And if you are using plugins, you will need to register your plugin. But we will come back to plugins a bit later. Then you have your main block, the danger args block, where you can write down Kotlin code, all your rules, all the rules that can come in your mind that just fits your team.
Danger is a tool that is built to adapt to the team that uses it. This means that there is not a predefined set of rules, with the exception of the plugins that Gianluca mentioned and is going to describe better later. But in general, Danger is just a framework that makes easy to write the checks that better fit you. So we made a few examples of how you can write your checks and what Danger can do for you. So, for example, this is one of the checks you find a lot in the open source project, because according to the best practice for pull request, a pull request should be small enough to make to allow a simple review. And in this case, then Danger verifies that the difference between the addition and the deletion in the PR is less than 300. And if not, he has a warning so that it can suggest to split the PR in multiple pull requests or just keep it small. Another good check that we can have, especially while we're migrating from Java to Kotlin, is this one that checks that if new Java files are added. This means that every time a new Java file is added, Danger fails and makes your build fail. And request instead to write that file in Kotlin, so that you don't add it in Java and then you need to convert it again later. And finally, every time, for example, when you make a PR for to a release branch, you might want an additional level of security. So you might want that your tech lead reviews that PR. And so you might just tag them in the PR with Danger so that they also get an email saying that they need to review the PR directly from GitHub. But this check can also become a failure. If you have the possibility to set a trigger for when a review is made, you can actually check if that if the PR has been approved by any of the required reviewers. And in that case, pass the build or fail otherwise. So that, for example, GitHub Action is one good way of doing this, because they already have a pre-built trigger for when a review is submitted. In general, though, automation brings more automation. So once you start writing your first checks, you will start more and more starting writing new check every time you have a new pattern or a new convention. And this will save a lot of time to your team, but will also improve your overall code quality. All right, so now we can see how we can get started with Danger. So what do we have to do to install it? The easiest way is using GitHub Actions. So you can just add an action like this one you see here in the slide, and automatically every time a new pull request is added or a new code is pushed, this automatically will run Danger with our pre-built Docker image. But in case GitHub Action doesn't fit you, or you want to run Danger locally, you can install it with Homebrew if you are on a Mac, or you can use our script to install it. Once Danger is installed, run it is really simple. You can just use Danger Kotlin CI that will automatically run it using the dangerfile.df.kts file in your directory, or you can add the Danger file parameter to specify the Danger file path, also in case you have more than one Danger file.
And another cool dangerous stuff that we mentioned earlier is the possibility to extend danger with plugins. You can use already existing plugins uploaded on Event Central just using repository and the depends on annotation. Then you can import the plugin and register and use it. So at the moment, because Danger Kotlin is still young, it doesn't have a lot of plugin available. But some contributors already have developed some. Like, for example, I've made a plugin for the Android lint checks as an Android developer. But we have 2 or 3 different plugins for detect and a plugin that publish a message with a failing unit test directly on your pull request. So if you want to contribute, probably the development for a new plugin is a good start for you. But how do I do that? So you can check out some of the existing plugins as a reference, or you can create a new Kotlin library project and use as a dependency our Danger SDK. And then your plugin singleton class, like in this example. So you will need to extend Danger plugin, and then you can define your custom check or tools. And the next steps are install your plugin into the Danger libs repository using the Gradle plugin Danger plugin installer that right now is available only by installing Danger into your local machine, but it will be available soon into the Gradle plugin portal. And as you can see here in the section, the Danger plugin down there, you will need to tell the plugin which jar will need to be uploaded inside Danger. So after you uploaded the jar into Danger, you can use the jar directly inside in your Danger file script using the annotation depends on, and then simply do your thing. After this step, you can also decide to publish your plugin to Maven Central if you think it's stable enough, so you can make it available for everyone. And this is a personal list of plugins that I personally would like to have, just to give you some ideas in what you can implement if you wish. So I would like to have an integration with GitHub APIs, read label, put labels automatically. Like, for example, I want to add a specific label if something happened in your pull request, or remove a label if I've done something, or direct integration with Firebase Test Lab. Angular commit format check is another thing. Test coverage, integration with Jira, for example, linking automatically a ticket in a pull request or an issue in a pull request.
Before going to the final slide, I wanted to leave you with some advices that I learned during my experience with Danger. In some cases, a warning is legitimate, but in general, your check should try to be as precise as possible. So precise that you can just fail if the conditions are not met. Having a warning doesn't stop the PR from being merged. And in a PR with a lot of comment, the author might even miss the comment. And in that case, someone has to then review the PR and make the author notice it. While with a failure, the author immediately noticed that the CI is not passing, notice the comment, and then fix it even before a person arrives there and then before the first review. CI time is also really precious. So every time we do a new check, we want to be sure that that check only tests what is changed, so only the affected files. Danger offers an array of added, modified, and deleted files. So you can use those to speed up and refine your checks so that they use less time as possible. For the third advice, I think the message is self-explicative, but why do we need to do that? Well, first of all, obviously, you need to see the check failing to be sure that the check is working. So it's passing when it should and it's failing when it should. But also it's important to see visually the message, because maybe you want to add some markdown, you want to make it clear, you want to change something slightly, because when you see it visually, you might see ways to improve the way it looks. And another important thing is that if you have inline comments, you want to be sure that they are on the right line. But in general, getting a failure in CI might be frustrating. So every time you write a new check, it's always better to add, together with a message saying what went wrong, also a message saying how to fix it. For example, imagine this message. Your Git status is dirty, probably you didn't format the code. This message doesn't explain how to fix it. So the person that received it has to ask to some colleagues or someone what they have to do to format the code. While you could immediately write the actual command just below the message so that you actually save this additional check and the author can immediately fix it and push again the code so that it runs through danger and it passes CI.
And finally, what we do with danger at Compare the Market? Well, we do dozens of checks for each pull request on Android, and the same happen in the iOS team, but of course they prefer the Swift version. Branching naming strategy, PR sanity check, we do linting, we request reviews, we check the pull request size, all the Java files are banned, and also we do some checks for the Android context misusage, not allowed to use JUnit 4 in the imports, so we are migrating to JUnit 5 and much more.
On American Express, we use Danger Kotlin and Danger Swift as well for both the iOS and the Android team. And those are few checks that are interesting. So we, for example, check if you are using the semantic color. So instead of just saying this thing is white, this thing is blue, saying if it's the title or is the subtitle or what is the role of the item in the view. Every time a suppress is added, we request an explanation of why it's added with a comment that is left there for future reference. If the PR is not auto-generated, we request a Jira ticket if possible, and we suggest to use our custom debounced version of on-click listener instead of the common one, in case the common one is used. Danger Kotlin is being released, like the 1.00 beta 2 is being released. It has full support to Kotlin X serialization and Kotlin X datetime. You can find it and contribute it on GitHub. You can see the link there, and for documentation, you can have a look at Danger Systems website.
And that's all. So I hope you had a great time learning something new. I would like to thank you, everyone. And don't forget to follow our social blog pages. If you want to find more about current and future opportunity, please have a look at the links.
And now we can proceed with the questions.
I have a question for you. I used Danger in the past, not of course Danger Kotlin. It was really awesome, really helpful for our team. My question is, since you are using it in your team, how do you actually use it? So do you usually, as a developer, open the PR and then wait for Danger Kotlin to run yourself, and before actually ask everyone else to review, go through the actual danger warning or errors? Or do you run it locally? Like, for example, could be like a linked normal that you usually run linked before you actually prove your request, before you failing or having the warnings.
Yeah, so thank you for the question, first of all. There are several ways to actually do this thing. So for example, we are treating our checks, in our case, as plugins. Given the plugins are, as Gianluca said, separate project that basically take Danger as dependency, we can actually test them with unit tests, right? Every check can have its own unit test. So that is the first level of check we are doing. And so over that, we can actually, what I usually do, there are two things that you can, that can help you during the development of a check. The first one is Danger Kotlin PR and a link of a PR. So you can actually run Danger Kotlin live is actually running on that PR. So you can actually take the modified files and all the JSON and pretend you are actually running it in that PR, so that you can actually write your Danger file and run it against that PR. And the other one is Danger file, Danger Kotlin local. So that basically runs it. It generates a fake JSON. Obviously, it's not as full of detail as a real JSON, but it tries to be as precise as possible with the diff that from your last commit in your current branch to the first commit in your main or master branch, depending on obviously which one of the two you use.
Nice. We actually have another question. So first meeting, good. Nice to see you. So I'm a QA engineer. How do you get involved in project in terms of testing and quality assurance? I think that's related probably to Danger. So how we can integrate the QA into this flow, for example?
Great. So I think in general, like everyone is welcome. Like I don't think there is like a big difference if you're a QA or developer. The only thing is obviously that there are different languages. You have to choose the one that best fits you. So it should be the one you are more familiar with. All the Danger, they kind of work the same because they are all based on Danger.js under the hood. So they all get the same DSL, etc. So in order to get involved, I would suggest obviously to first read the documentation. But the first thing you could do is write a subset of checks you would like to run on the app in each PR. And once you have that, you can then translate them using the documentation to a Danger file. And so you can then open a PR to your own repo and let your colleagues see which one are like what you've wrote, etc., so that you can work together a way to actually establish those rules. Because obviously, once the PR is merged, every PR will have to respect those rules. So all the team has to agree that those are actually okay.
Nice. So yeah, that's it. We don't have any more questions. So thanks, Gianluca and Franco, for being with us. It was nice. So I used Danger in the early form with JS back in the days. It was really, really cool, really helpful. And I'm really happy to, I'm really hoping to get into my team as soon as possible. We're working quite heavy on the CI and improving. So definitely I will push Danger Kotlin to my team as well and see if with this talk, we will have it soon. Hopefully. Oh, so there's a question, last minute question. Hi, thanks for the great presentation. Good. I used Danger.js on Android project before, but the Danger file was in JS. Would you recommend using Danger Kotlin on Android project?
Well,
I mean,
yeah, absolutely. I will take that the first part. So yeah, as Android developers, we love to write down code on Kotlin. So having a Danger file, so thinking about a new rule that you can write down, thinking in Kotlin, is a much better than Danger.js. Especially there is no like if you have some developers in your team that they never seen a piece of script in JavaScript. Is a much better. They can write down and contribute adding new rules in Kotlin.
Yeah, and I guess like just using Kotlin, and I've seen now that we also can write the Gradle files in Kotlin. So basically, it's really helpful for us to just choose and pick up only one language, just to use everything for that. Things it's really cool.
I also think in general you are really familiar with all all the plugins, etc. Like Maven. So given Danger can import any jar, so you already have a lot of knowledge of possible things that you can import and reuse in your Danger file. While maybe JavaScript for a lot of people is all a new word. So it's new how to import those plugins or to import those new things that you need to use. And even if someone knows how to do it, the rest of the team still is not familiar with it. And so it's always important when you set something that affects the life of all the developers in a team, that all the team is actually understanding that and is okay with it.
Perfect. Thanks so much. Thanks so much, Franco and Gianluca, for being with us. It's great talk. Yeah, see you next time. Hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So cool. Yes, we have a winner. Only just one question, but Rohan Thomas, you are the winner of this cool T-shirt. So if you send us an email, give me a sec, to Huawei HDG UK, let me pop up the banner, this one, at dgmail.com. If you send us an email with your address, we can post you the T-shirt right to your address. And thanks for asking a question.
Yeah, congratulations. Okay,
Right.
yeah, so we'll get back to you, and I think it was quite fun, and so it was quite interesting, yeah, the danger and yeah.
Yes, it's something that's used in the past, but yeah, now it's evolved. It's really cool, and yeah, it's always good to learn new stuff and trying to improve it. And as a switching company, it's you see that everyone has the same problem and try to solve it. So it's always good to have new solution and new stuff like this. So yeah, cool. Yeah. I think that's it. Yeah, thank you everyone for joining us. Hope you enjoyed it. See you next time then.
Hope to see you next time then. Awesome. Thanks everyone.
Bye.